Hello, everybody, and welcome back in the 13th session of Communicative English. I am Dr. Archana Gurgesh from the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences. Today, I'm going to discuss something on presentation. As I told you the last time, that I'm going to be effective by presenting yourself in a better way. Tell me one thing. You go to the restaurant, to lounge, for dinners, to hotels. What do you like there? The food. I think to a certain extent the food is for better at home. The same dishes that can be cooked back home even. What do you go for? I think the presentation, the way it is decorated, the kind of cutlery that is used, the kind of crockery that is used, the kind of ambience that you get there. Basically, the taste of the food doesn't matter. The presentation of the food does matter. In the same way, it goes with communication. What you say does matter, but how you say matters more. Like, for example, if you talk about the content of the communication, then you will be flabbergasted to know that it is just 7% out of 100. Yes, the importance of content to which we lay so much importance is actually just 7%. Then comes the value of tone, and then comes the value of body language, which is highest in number. It can even go to the range of 90%, and minimum it is 56 to 65%. How you hold your body, what is the tone of your talking to somebody, in what tone are you communicating, what is the volume, what is the pitch, what is the word said per second, per minute. That even matters. How you truncate, how you articulate, how you pronounce, it all matters. Timing does matter because communication is something which is made up of whole. It is not just one thing. There are so many things that make it. Communication is just like a dish made with so many ingredients, and the spice is how you present it. The last comes the presentation, which really matters a lot. And for that, you have to struggle. I can help you, I can guide you, I can mentor you, but I cannot commit the error of holding you each and every time. You know, you are like a butterfly trying to come out of the cocoon. Now, again, I'm going to share an anecdote. Listen to this very carefully. You have to struggle. You have to make a world for yourself. Once there was a person who was conducting a practical in the lab. He was a teacher, and there was a cocoon kept there on the table. The cocoon was taking a lot of time to break up, and the butterfly was really struggling very hard. Suddenly, the teacher was called by the principal for some important work. The teacher asked the students not to touch anything on his table, especially the cocoon, and he left. There was a girl sitting on the front row, front seat. She took pity. The butterfly was really struggling very hard. But the butterfly was unable to come out of it. Everybody suggested that the teacher has said not to touch it, maybe the practical will get spoiled. The student took pity and she said, no, I will help it. And she took a pair of scissors and she just made a slit in the cocoon. The cocoon split open and the butterfly out without making any struggle came out. Now, when the butterfly came out, her body was swollen and her wings were small. Yes. Because when the butterfly struggles, the body reduces and the strength and the size of the wings broaden. They become bigger and the body becomes smaller, slim and trim. But when the teacher came back, the butterfly was still struggling. It was, moving hither and thither, but was not able to fly. And within a couple of minutes, the butterfly died. In the same way, when a student struggles, when a student tries to improve his or herself, you can give a proper environment to that person to grow. You can give a conducive place. You can create an amiable environment. You can just make sure that you don't hurt the butterfly when it comes out. You don't hold it tight wings or put it in your book as a dried flower or put it in a butterfly collection. But what you can best do is that at least let the butterfly struggle, because that way only the butterfly will be able to come out of its cocoon and live a healthy life and fly the way it should be. Now, you can even take an example of a bumblebee. The bumblebee, if you talk about aerodynamically, its weight is so much that a bumblebee cannot fly. But bumblebee is unaware of it. That is why bumblebee can fly. In the same way, don't think about the barriers. Don't ever think about your shortcomings. Don't ever think about the negativities. Think about the positive strength that you have. Communicate, improve each day as a person, as a communicator. In the end of the session today, I am going to tell you certain ways, the practical ways how you can really improve your communication skills. Or maybe in an add-on session, I will discuss it. But right now, I'm going to continue with the topic that I left in the last session. That's the communication skills for the individual. So I'll begin the sharing. So you very well know that these are your class notes. You can use them as primary text, secondary text. You can even just use to study them and do some reference work on your own. You can do the note making. Okay. So I'll start the sharing and you can have a good look at it. As I already told you, that communication has been derived from the Latin term communicare, which means to share. This sharing is of information, knowledge, and anything, even your feelings, your sentiments, your emotions. With advent of technology and everything, somewhere technology has even made us dependent. We cannot communicate properly as the way we did. We were very wordy. We used to express ourselves because communication requires a lot of use of words. It requires skill. Now, before we begin, again, I'll share an anecdote with you. There was, a monastery. In fact, you don't call it a monastery, you call it a church. I'm sorry, I'll take it back. It was church. And there were monks, living there. But it was a rule there, the golden rule was that you are not supposed to speak for a year. For one whole year, you were not supposed to say a single word. And at the end of your first year, you were allowed to speak just two words. So once a monk went there and started living. At the end of the first year, he said he was allowed to say just two words. He thought over for a long period of time and then he said, bad bed. So that was taken care of. And the next year again, he was given a chance to speak just two words. When his turn came, he said, awful food. Corrections were made and food became better. But then at the third year, he was again allowed to say two words. He said, I quit. The, the main monk, the head of everybody said, yes, you must, because you complain a lot. It entirely depends how you communicate. You could have even said improve bedding, better food. You should not always complain. You should not always be very negative about. Don't share negative perspectives. Nobody wants to know your negative perspective. Share the positive side. Look at the positive side. Happiness is, the static state of mind. You know this. We are sad. Do we want to remain sad? No. We want to get happy because that is the static state of mind. That is the static psychology. We want to reach the normal level. And what is our normal level? The happy question. We don't want to be sad. We don't want to be disillusioned. In the same way, communication requires a lot of effort. You require a lot of skills. You need to improve each day. You need a lot of expression. And for that, you need to work on your speaking and writing skills. With the growing consensus among business executives, there is a lack of good writing skills among job applicants. Saying talking is very easy. When it comes to writing, it really becomes very difficult because it's considered a Herculean task. It's not. You just have to give an extra effort. And because of this, employees are including writing skills as one of the skills they are looking for when they are hiring. You'll be very surprised to know that people are supposed to take a written test in certain uh, organizations before getting hired because the bosses really want to know whether you are good at writing or not. Some even for ask for a sample report when screening applicants because by the time you come to know their talents, you find out that they don't know the basics of writing a report. They don't know how to create, draft a proposal. They even don't know how to correspond with simple business letters. Day-to-day correspondence in an organization, in a company or any institute even, matters a lot. It's based on communication. It's based on written communication because there is a lot of you can say value added to it. The oral communication is not always trustworthy. You cannot remember each and everything that is said. The credibility is even an issue that has to be taken into consideration. It even includes in the job description that the job requires a motivated communicator. Motivation is really important. Something, um, you should motivate yourself. Be deaf sometimes. What I'm telling you, yes, remain deaf sometimes. Deaf to the demotivating factors. Deaf to the negativities around you that are surcharging the environment, giving you a psychological barrier. Again, I'll share an anecdote. There was a big pitch. Pitch means a hole where a couple of frogs fell down. Incidentally, they fell down, and the accident it somehow happened that they found that the pitch was too dark and it was too deep. The frogs couldn't jump out of it. Two frogs decided that they should try and at least make a leap. They started jumping. One of the frogs reached near exit but fell down suddenly and it was dropped to death. The second frog didn't give up. Everybody started shouting that you'll die, don't jump, accept your destiny, we have to die this way. But the way they were yelling and everything, he didn't hear that and he jumped to his maximum what he did and he got out of it. He got out of the pitch. And when people asked him, the frogs outside, that how did you get up? How did you get out of the pitch? Others were even telling you that you could fall down and die. The frog couldn't understand anything. Suddenly, from somewhere, the other friend of the frog came and he said, "He's dead." And when the people were yelling, shouting on top of, and when others were shouting at top of their lungs that you should not try and leap out, you should not jump, you'll end yourself dying. He must have felt that people were motivating him, saying that yes, you can do it. That is motivation. You must motivate yourself. Don't let others push you back, because everybody has a crab mentality. If one crab tries to come out of the box, the other crab will always pull it back. He won't help the crab go out of the box. That is why if you even don't put a lid to the crab box or a basket of crabs, the crabs will never get out, because they have crab mentality. They will never let the other crab go out of the basket or the box. Don't have that. Be self motivated. Be positively surcharged. Good communication is essential in business. Usually, there is more than one individual that is working on a goal, and good communication will allow an exchange of ideas and concerns. If you will exchange ideas, if you will share concerns for each other, it won't make you small. It will make you loom larger. You'll become a leader. You'll become a team, and team always does better work. You will end up doing better work. You will be a best person. Why? Because you are positively motivated and you are a good communicator. There can be no team effort without communication, as it is necessary to coordinate the efforts of everyone. You have to understand what is the strength of a particular team member, what is the weakness of a certain team member, and then you have to do a SWOT analysis, realize who is better in which field, and put them on work accordingly. And unless and until you pay some efforts on your communication, you won't be able to coordinate. And coordination in communication matters a lot. Bad communication can waste valuable time and efforts. Now, if you communicate in a bad way, or you are suffering from this prejudice syndrome, prejudice, I told you, preconceived notions and prejudice. And if you are a very poor believer, you trust the negativities easily, then bad communication can waste valuable time and effort. If a team member discovers a shortcut or solves a problem, that information needs to go out to every team member so that they can benefit from it and reach their goals quicker. Now, if somebody has found out a better way, a shortcut way to do a certain work, everybody should be informed. It's no rocket science. It's not a raw secret that nobody can be shared with. It should be kept as a top secret. It should be told to everybody so that the work can be done in stipulated period of time, even before, with more efficiency and accuracy. That is the target of the organization. That you have to do the work in time, in a better way, with better results. And if somebody has found that way out, you should tell it to everybody. You should share that information. That is what communication is all about. The word communication itself means sharing. If you're not sharing, then excuse me, it is not communication. Effective is out of question. You will never reach the point of effective communication if you are not even able to communicate. You have to understand the basic definition of communication. It is the sharing of information and knowledge, the feelings, the emotions. You have to reach mutual understanding. Unless and until what you thought, what you said, and what the receiver understood are the same, effective communication cannot be achieved. Now, if we look at the note making in written communication, note making is really very important. Now, you have to understand the basic difference between note making and note taking. In taking, you are taking it. For example, if I'm dictating something in the class and you're writing it down, that's note taking. That's quite a passive approach. But if I ask you to make notes, for example, I give you these notes I share them in Google Classroom, and I say, dear students, please make them a base, and then create your own notes. Write notes on each and every topic that you feel comfortable about. Give a then you start making notes, because that is where note making is active. It is It's an activity where you assimilate all information and make a sense of it for yourself. You're more focused. When you are making notes, you are more active. You're most focused. You are actively involved in assimilating. Assimilating means absorbing each and every. Why is the student given written assignment? The student is given written assignment because even if he copies it somewhere, he will have to read first. He cannot blindly copy everything. It is very well said. It's a famous saying in Hindi. Nakal ke liye bhi akal chahiye. You need to put a lot of efforts before even copying. Copying needs efforts. So when you are making notes, you are actively involved in it. You're more focused. You assimilate each and every information. And once you get into the habit of making notes, believe me, you start Googling things. You look into books, you look into notes, how to make my uh, production better than others. You'll make an active effort. You'll grow as an individual. Now, you have to understand a few things. Give yourself plenty of space. Plenty of space means in a very confined environment, you cannot make notes. If you think that lying on the bed, opening one book and opening a register, you can start writing, that's not note making. Note making means a clean, clear space, a big space, plenty of space. Because you'll have to keep down your notes, your journals, even if you put your laptop or your mobile, because you cannot hold the mobile in your hand. It will be too tiresome. You'll have to put it on a stand. You'll have to place it somewhere in front of your eyes so that you don't have to, bend down each and every time. You can put it on a book. The stand can be rested upon a bundle of books so that you can look into the mobile and copy down. You just cannot go to Wikipedia or just one site. If you are making notes, you'll visit innumerable sites, maybe 10 sites, maybe 12 sites, and then you realize that you really have found the material you wanted. Or after going through 20 sites, you realize, no, actually, the first and the second site were more than sufficient. They had what actually you needed, and the others are not that synchronized. Label, number, and date all your notes. It is really very important. Unless and until you label them, you put a complete heading, you put a page number or a heading number, or you put a date, a proper date in a proper column, you won't be able to make sense out of your notes. What if the loose pages fall? What if you leave a certain page in between? Put a label that you are leaving these two pages for extra work, for writing this thing. Maybe you want to write something on informal communication. Leave a page, leave two pages, and write informal communication and put ma'am in bracket that you will ask ma'am to explain grapevine, and then with the help of the notes and Google, you'll write a short note on informal communication, that is grapevine, the gossip. Develop your own system of shorthand abbreviations. You know, don't be very elongated when you are making notes. Make shortcuts. Like for example, when I'm writing, I never write A and D and I always put a symbol. This way, I fall short of two alphabets. Just a symbol, and I'm free of writing A and D. B/W. That's for between. You can even make a forward slash or a backslash for the C with an underscore for without. You can make your own symbols and things, and you can write. If you are seeing that communication word is coming by and by in notes, you can always write COMM to the power N. That is what communication is all about. If barriers is coming again and again, put B, capital B, and to the power S. You'll always come to know that it's barriers. Psychological barriers, PSY dot, semantic SEM dot, physical PHYS, your PHY dot. Getting, you can always create your own abbreviations in shorthand. If you know shorthand, the typing, the typist basically never took dictation, and the girl was standing. They had symbol for each and everything, and they wrote in symbols. That was short. Use color, pictures, or diagrams to make notes more visual. Like the other day, I told you that you can use a highlighter, fluorescent pink, fluorescent orange, fluorescent green. If you don't want to buy them, you have color pencils from your 10th and 12th. Don't waste them. If you have brown color, never mind, use it. If you have a pink color, use it. You have orange color, use it. You have light blue color, use it. Don't waste. You can always create your notes in a better way for better understanding. Like if something which was really very important, I used to make a star. I still, if there is something really a very important term that I need to remember, then I put it in a box, right, or a circle, and I put an arrow out of it. This way, I always remember this is the most important thing that I need to do. This needs my immediate attention. Okay, keep your own thoughts separate. This ensures that you don't mistake your ideas for that of others. Now, if you really want to make notes, make sure that you have, because everybody has their own ideas. There are always the two perspectives of looking at things. You may look at the glass is half empty. You can even look at with the perception that the glass is half full. But you can even have a third perspective. You can feel that now there is more space for water. You can fill more water in the glass. Okay, so have that perspective. Either looking at that is half full, or you can make yourself believe that now I have space and I can fill more water. You can don't mistake your ideas with mine ideas. If sometimes when I'm lecturing, I always share these anecdotes. I have last lecture, even I told you, session told you that people, they write the story in short, or example in two or three sentences, sometimes words even, and then they color them, and in the margin they write the description of the whole example. You know why? Because it develops better understanding. You can always remember things when you look at the crab mentality word, or if you look at the butterfly thing, you remember that you have to keep yourself motivated, you have to struggle, you have to put in more efforts. Okay, so if you have some idea, put it differently, and if you have taken my idea, put it differently. Use a loss signal. For example, you're sitting in the class. I do not expect this. Nobody expects this. It happens. Many a times it happens. Even we lose concentration. While even I'm giving sessions, sometimes people stand in front of me, they come and stand beside me. They make me look at things and I'm unable to answer. But I still with actions answer them. But then during the sessions, you will always feel that ma'am is lost. That lost section, actually that lost moment is because somebody came there, they wanted to know something, and they're asking me, "Hey, please tell it in action." But I can only concentrate one way. Either I can concentrate on giving session, or give my concentration on that thing which requires my immediate attention. So if you are lost in your session or your lecture, don't don't fret, don't stress. Put a question mark, put a star, put a hashtag, put a asterisk, put the rate that I'm lost, and leave out a certain page, gaps, leave out certain lines, and then again start writing what I'm explaining. You can always go back to your friends and ask them, feel like I was lost during this gap. What did she say? Did she give some example? Did she give some valuable explanation that I missed out? You always copy it there. Use a loss. Very important aspect is that you should write legibly. The other day, even I told you that while you are writing, write beautifully. What I'm talking about is not calligraphy, the art of writing beautifully. I'm not asking you to write like greeting cards or like Times New Roman or Comic Sans. What I am expecting you to write in a way that you can read and even I can read. Because you will write, you are not a doctor, and I'm not a chemist that will read your prescription and give the medicine to the patient and make a bubble for TDS and OD that tell that this is the medicine you are supposed to take 3 times a day. This medicine is supposed to be taken twice a day. This medicine is to be taken once a day. Please don't write so illegibly that I cannot read. You can't read later. I've even seen people, they were friends of mine who wrote so illegibly that they used to ask me later, Archana, what is this written? And I used to say, listen, am I your compounder? You are my doctor and I'm your compounder. That I'll read it for you. How do I know what you have written? But I always ended up making out what was written because the notes were in context. They were situational. I could understand in a particular situation when I read the whole sentence, I could make out that this could be the only word that could have been used there. And that I'm going to tell you why I knew it. In just a couple of minutes later, I'll tell you. And writing is really very important. However, if you put your mind to it and make it a point to write more legibly, your handwriting will improve. I have seen people, even to an extent, not to an extent completely, I'll say, I am very eccentric, very moody, and so is my handwriting. If I'm in a good mood, I make very beautiful handwriting. Everybody will appreciate it. That, ma'am, your writing is really very good. But when my mood is bad or I'm feeling well or I don't want to write, then I write such in such a way that leave others, even I may not be able to read the other day. It's so dirty that people say, ma'am, please thoda saaf likh dijiye. Ma'am, I'm not able to read. You come to my class. If I do board work, it's not a very good thing. But sometimes I write on the board in such a way that ing seems like a line. My board work is not that very impressive. I write each and everything. I explain each and everything. But when I'm explaining, I leave it to the understanding of the person sitting in front of me that he is paying attention. If you're not paying attention in my class, you won't be able to follow my spellings, you won't be able to follow my words. You'll end up asking, ma'am, what is this that you have written? If you lose attention, if you're not listening, you'll always end up asking, ma'am, what is this? Because ing is not there, shun is not there. It's there somewhere in the air. So, I can tell you better that you should improve on your writing. Writing tells a lot about you. There is a theory which tells, by the way you write, it can tell about your psychology. It can tell about your nature. It can tell about your instincts, good or bad, moral or criminal. They can tell a lot about it. There is a theory on calligraphy. Always write beautifully so that even you can read and even others can read. This has implications not only for note taking but even writing exams as well. Now, before we move on, there is one thing really need to tell you. Suppose you're very hungry and you are given food well laid in a thali. Everything is kept separately. The dal, the veggies, the raita, the salad, even the dips, the chutneys, they are in small size bowls according to uh, according to their capacity. They are in the chutney, the dips are in very small katoris, the raita in a bit bigger, and then the dal in bigger, the veggies in bigger. If you have a well laid platter, won't you feel like eating? You have a papad kept in a corner, rotis dry, rice well laid in a cup shape. Won't you appreciate it? But imagine you are given a platter where there is rice, whereas there is roti, chapati, there is veggies, dal without any barrier, without any bowl. The dal is, has made the rotis wet. The veggies are mixing with the raita. The chutneys have lost their identity. You cannot make out the difference. Salad is all strewn over. Will you appreciate this food? Won't you feel like an animal? In the same way, when you are writing exams, make sure that you at least don't decorate your copy. What I'm not asking you to make flowers, leaves, peacock there, or Arabic designs there. What I'm asking you to write properly, implicitly, in a better way, in a better representation. Put a proper section A and then start writing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Write objective answers. Then draw a line. Turn to page 2, put section B, put the correct question number, whether it's 2, 3, 4, or 5. Put the number carefully. If the bifurcation is there A, B, C, then please put the A, B, C clearly. And then draw a line after that. Sometimes people come up with their sectional copies and they say, Ma'am, I haven't got marks in this answer. You are not differentiating between 5 and 6. How am I come to know when this thing started? I thought that you have clubbed the two things and written one answer. Now, this can be done in sessional copies because you are shown. But what will you do in semester copies? And what will you do in your life when you're working in an organization? One day you'll become a software engineer. One day you'll become a professor or a scientist. What will you do? Or a person in government job or in a very big organization, you get a job. Then what will you do? You'll do things like this. You'll merge one data with the other, that nobody is able to make out where the budget ends and where the planning begins and where the time slot ends. Will you do that? Nobody knows where is your introduction, where is your body, where is your conclusion, where is your recommendations. The thing began on the title of the page and ended on bibliography, and nobody is able to make the difference between them. Where is what, where, when, how? Will you do that? You can't do that. You have to be very systematic in your writing. Now, as I told you, when you are bifurcating between my thoughts and your thoughts, and when others ask me, Archana, what is this written? I was able to do it because I reviewed my notes. I always read them and found them just after the class. That if there is any word missing, that did I leave out anything? Sometimes it happened even teacher was in such a speed that I missed out things. So I copied it then and there. I didn't leave them from examination or for a weekend or for some other day. I never. For that, if you read properly, you'll be better prepared for your exams because you'll feel acquainted. Acquainted means jana pehchana. You'll feel that you have already read this. You're well prepared and you have to do it on daily basis. Read through your lecture notes. Find if there is anything lacking. As I've told you, you can use them as primary source. Primary sources, when you only take this as your prime concern, that I will only base my studies on these notes. You can even use them as a secondary source. You can say that I will put them for reference, but I will note down details from other sources. Correct the spelling mistakes and rewrite illegible portions. Sometimes you might write illegibly. You have written examination as EX, but EX can be example, even an examination, even. You remember right now that it means examination, but after a couple of weeks, you might not remember that it is examination. You see, what is EX? What is EX? Okay, fill in any gaps. If there are sentences missing, words missing, paragraphs missing, see to it that you copy. Maybe you, as I told you, that you have gone in some thoughts, you have lost the touch with the lecture, you're not copying that, leave that space, but fill it ASAP, as soon as possible. Underline or highlight important sentences or paragraphs. You have to highlight the important aspects. Don't leave that. You're not supposed to do that. Make sure that you understand the concepts. Understanding the concept is really very important. Unless and until you understand it, you won't be able to represent it. You won't be able to express it. Because communication is just not listening, understanding. It is even speaking and writing. Getting my point? Listening, reading, speaking, and writing all are important. And you have to achieve effective communication, the degree of effective communication. I thought red apple, I said red apple, and you understood red apple. That is what effective communication is all about. We'll end this session here and we'll be soon meeting the 14th session. I see, and I'm about to share some insight on effective communication. I told you that at the end of the session, I'm going to give you an additional session on how to improve your writing and speaking. I'm going to do that in my next session. So see you soon. Stay fit, take care, but don't forget, be happy and enjoy. Thank you so much. See you. Bye bye.